Welcome to the Building Code special Inside Buildertrend edition, our first of the Building Code, where we have Russ Lane with us today. Of course, before I get too far, I'm Zach Tovich.
I'm Charley Burtwhistle.
We're really excited to have Russ here with us. Russ, thanks for joining the pod.
Absolutely.
We wanted to find ways to kind of get people more information about what Buildertrend's doing, what's going out there. Russ, you've been at Buildertrend for a long time.
6 years.
You're a vet.
Yep.
You've held a lot of different roles. Just give us a quick overview of where you started, where you're at, what you do, why we brought you on the podcast. You were on before, so longtime listeners know you, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably a couple of years ago at this point. But yeah, 6 years ago. Started out actually on the phones, did a year of that. Had a chance to come over to the product department, kind of test the waters over there. And then, that team has just grown in both size and kind of expectations on kind of how we go about our work. So yeah, it's been a fun ride for that 5 years. We were at the old building, new building. Seen a lot of stuff come through. It's been exciting.
I'm kind of curious about, so I actually started on the product team before data and research was
That is true.
A thing. We were under that umbrella, and I feel like it was only like, 8 or 9 people. Like how big is the team now?
I mean, if you count just the product team, I think we're up to 17.
Wow.
But we also have an ops team that we partner with. There's, I think, 4 or 5 folks on that team, and then lump in the design team. I think they're at like 8 or 9. So all told, we consider that the one team, probably around 30.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then you guys work obviously really closely with technology.
Mm-hmm.
They're considered a separate department though, so they have another 40, 50 engineers, or is it even that big?
Oh, it's more than
Is
that.
it? Yeah.
I want to say last I heard, we were around 90, and I think we might be over 100 at this point. But yeah, I mean, different team in the org chart, but the second something's, ready to get built, we kind of spin up project teams, right? And they're really a cohesive group. They'll kind of see that thing from 0 to 1.
And you guys work obviously really closely with each other.
Yeah.
Collaborate.
For sure. Yeah, there's the converge and diverge concept. We all come together, kind of hash out what we're doing, make sure we're not stepping on toes, and then we all go back to our project teams.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, we thought you would be a great first guest for our special Inside Buildertrend series. These are going to, basically air in between our major episodes. They're a little shorter, so we won't get too deep into the weeds. You're a director now in the product world, and so you kind of see the big picture. We've done a lot of things in Buildertrend in the last year, and we just wanted to kind of start with, what are maybe some of the things you're most proud of, or any highlights of the last 12 months going back to 2021 that you think are worth kind of shouting out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there's been probably a couple either podcast videos about the large React conversion that our tech department took on 2020. That wrapped up 2021, and what that did a lot for us was unlock some things. We were kind of on an old architecture, an old front end, and there were a lot of things that we wanted to do on behalf of our customers, specific to the ease of use and things like that we just were constrained. We couldn't do it in the old framework. So we've taken a lot of time to kind of look at what are those modern interactions that we can do now. And as product people, we ask ourselves, okay, yeah, we can, but should we? Is that what's best for our customers? So looking at that, we completely redesigned that first landing page. So we think that that's going to get people, a lot of what we try to do is get people to value faster, like get from A to B. These people have things to do. There's a goal to why they get into the app. How can we make that faster for them? And that's one thing that the React conversion has allowed us to do with things like the new landing page, where there's a lot of action items and feed of content that you can get to. So that one stands out for sure. Something that we're rolling out right now that I'm super excited about is what we're calling global search, right? So same concept. Instead of going to a page, filtering for content, clicking on it, we can just negate all of those steps. You type in a word, we get you right to it. So that's another thing that was unlocked by that migration that we did in 2020 into 2021.
Lays the foundation for the future.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of other possibilities possible.
Totally. Just kind of had to get to that zero moment of it being done, and now we can just kind of use that as a jumping off point.
And I feel like we moved past the Jurassic Park reference you had in there, where they were too busy wondering if they could. They didn't stop to think if they should.
This is like at every meeting I'm with Russ, he drops a Jurassic Park reference. I'm starting to think you've got to.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that does raise a good point. Like, you talked about it, especially with this new framework. There's kind of infinite possibilities of where we could go next. How do you and the product team as a whole kind of figure out this is what we want to focus on. This is what's going to provide the most value. This is where our time and energy should be spent.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, everything always starts with the customer. What are we hearing? Obviously, if you try to do one request, one solution, you're going to be doing that forever, and it'll just kind of be, adding on and that kind of thing. So we try to take it from a thematic standpoint, connect dots between what one person's asking for and another person's asking for. They might actually be asking for the same thing. There's a framework called the 5 whys, which I know internally that's not super popular because it's admittedly annoying, right? Like, I want this. Okay, why? Well, because I need to do this. Well, why do you need to do that?
Right.
And we get all the way down to the root cause, and that's where you can really start to tease out some themes and, connective tissue between two different requests that seem totally different that's actually really similar. So then after that, we kind of look at things and we ask ourselves, I like to run an exercise where we just toss around adjectives. Like, what would we want to hear a customer say when they're describing this? Once this problem's solved, do we want them to say, wow, that was powerful, or wow, that was fast, or super efficient, or easy? Like, what do we want them to say? There's a whole range of things that they could say. And then let's say we want it to be faster. We start to look at actual data, run tests with actual customers, and say, okay, well, right now it's taking them 6 minutes to achieve this task. How can we make that faster? And if we did make it faster, let's say we cut the time down by 3. Well, how often do they do that throughout the week? Take that, times it by 52, and now we're talking year time savings, time, money. So we're just always looking for ways to make things more efficient. And we try to quantify that by actually looking at the data and saying it took them this long, now it takes them this long. So it's much better.
Yeah, the measurement framework obviously is something that I've been a little bit involved in talking before, and me and a guy on my team, Brooks Coleman, shout out Brooks. He was doing
Brooks.
he's a great guy. He was doing some work today. He was showing me about how long it takes people to add their first job in the system, and can we, kind of the most basic solution or the most basic feature in Buildertrend. Everything starts with a job. How do we make that first step into the platform as easy as possible? And then you look at, do customers that do it right away stick with us a long time and get more value out of the system? And the answer is obviously yes. But I just thought it was really interesting that we kind of zoomed clear back out and we're like, what's the first thing that people should be doing? And how do we make that experience the best experience possible?
Totally. Yeah, that entire initiative has been super exciting because it's opened up the door for us to question some strongly held beliefs that we've all had for a long time that, at face value, they seem pretty obvious, but you start asking, well, why? Are we
Right.
sure? And asking those kinds of questions. And we're uncovering, especially on that early customer stuff. I mean, we're trying to set people up for success. That's our number one goal, whether they've been using us for 5 years or 1 day, right? But on that first day, through that first month, 2 months, there is a concept of too much, too fast, and that's not setting people up for success. We want to be able to, there's a concept of progressive disclosure, where you kind of give people just enough, they can master it, and then they expand and they become experts in it. And that's kind of the approach that we're taking with that, early customer journey perspective.
That's when we talk about we get a lot of feedback.
Oh, yeah.
on Buildertrend.
Sure
There's
do.
No
Love it.
shortage of feedback. We welcome it,
Yeah.
obviously, in CS and even across multiple. The platform itself has a place to do all that. What's that process of taking all that information that we receive and making it usable, or how do we prioritize it, or what essentially I wrote down how's the sausage made on the front end of making sure that we are attacking those right things. It starts with the customer, because you just shed light on maybe some of our auxiliary things that we do and we get the feedback. What happens, or what's that look like?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we have a fantastic customer success department, but I always like to say customer success is all of our jobs. That's priority one across the board. So we try to live that for sure. And we talk to our CS folks and ask them, what are you hearing? And see if we can tease out some of that why, that root cause and themes. Thankfully, we've got a team of incredible data people and user researchers who can kind of help us put that through the right lens, right? Because you don't just want to take it at face value and make snap decisions. So how can we, in a scientific way, sort of quantify what people mean? And that kind of helps us prioritize. And then also going back to the time savings, if we got one thing that's going to save people 30 hours a month and another that's going to save them 2, we're going to go with the 30-hour one.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely something that as you kind of grow in Buildertrend, you start to learn more about the product process, and you kind of have to be very, very aware of that they're already working on projects too. It's not like
yeah,
you
that's the
can't
other-
just this new idea that comes up. You can't just be like, well, let's put this up at
cool,
the front.
let's do it. Yeah,
let's do it.
yeah, right.
And that can be a struggle to kind of work through it. But there's a method.
Totally.
And a process.
And yeah, I mean, I talked about the thing that would save them 30 hours versus 2, but maybe we can get the thing that solves the 2-hour problem out next week versus the 30-hour one that's going to take us a month. Now that's a new variable in that entire prioritization process. Like, what is the thing that we can get to them the quickest and still be valuable, regardless of how valuable compared to everything else going on?
And you may hear from one of our user researchers or product people who reach out, or our UX team,
Yep.
or so if you ever get the call from one of us at Buildertrend, that's a great thing, because you're actually going to help shape what it looks like and how it goes. So look, return our emails.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's generally most of the time some sort of maybe a nice little $20 Amazon card or something involved.
Yeah.
So a little incentive for you, but absolutely, especially going forward this year now that the React conversion's done, the world's really opened up for us. So we're going to be, out on sites with people. We want to talk to them as often as possible. I'd love to have kind of a nice core of people that I kind of just want to talk about their jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my dream is take 3 days and some project manager train me.
Right.
Like, I'll just shadow you, pretend I'm taking your job by the end of the
Right.
week, and let's dive in. So,
Man, that could be a cool series. We'll bring the cameras.
Yeah,
Zach
there you
and I will
go.
come. We'll interview Russ on his journey
So
to
it's
become a
super conducive to a
project.
construction job site, just like a table with like lights.
Right.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
like
same
all
stuff.
yeah, right in the middle of it, make people walk around us.
Our production team just like,
Yeah.
hey, do you mind? We're trying to record here, and they're
Can
like,
you stop hammering,
I'm
please?
trying to put up drywall. man.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not one of my better pitches for places
They're all
we
great,
should
dude.
visit.
Don't ever hesitate to shoot those shots, Charlie.
There
One
are
of
no
them.
bad ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, Russ, I appreciate you coming on. I kind of hate this idea of a mini episode. I want to keep talking for another 40 minutes, but I
Well,
know
we can stay. We'll just not record it.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh, B-roll, and then
Yeah.
we can
we'll
tease
get
it.
some nice. Yeah.
We can tease it
B-roll.
after
For the
that.
gram.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Russ, thanks for joining it.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
We'll probably have you back.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about this stuff, and especially going forward in the year as things start to coalesce a little bit more, we can get a little bit more detailed from time to time.
We can't reveal too much.
No,
but there's some exciting stuff
right,
coming.
Definitely. Like I said, global search is kind of in a rollout right now, so we're trying to validate that, make sure that's meeting and in some ways exceeding expectations. And then another one that I'm very excited about is offline capabilities for the mobile app.
Ooh, wow.
Kind of a good, I know we're wrapping up, but a good lens into kind of how we think. We looked at that and we were like, okay, well, we could spend 2 years making the entire app offline capable, or we could look at the things that people need the most, get those things out one by one. And this is another good prioritization problem. Time clock, number one requested thing, obviously most valuable, would take the longest and is risky. We don't really know how to do this yet. So daily logs was our first swing at it. And there are people right now that are submitting daily logs without cell service while we're building the time clock functionality, while learning from what we did with the first iteration of daily logs. So that's kind of that balancing act that we do. We try to get the right amount of value to your hands as fast as possible, but we don't necessarily want to spend all the time trying to guess on everything. Get it into your hands. We want to hear about it.
Charlie's blown away.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Here's
have to
what?
do anything. It's just if you go on the app
Really?
without service, you can submit a daily log. It'll queue it up. As soon as you get service, it's on.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel
we know what we're
ill-prepared. I'm
doing.
sorry for not
Yeah.
knowing that, but yeah.
No, all good.
That's
yeah.
sweet.
We should have opened with this.
Yeah, we should have. We could splice
Yeah,
it.
we
All
can get
right.
that in post.
We're at our time limit on the mini-sode. Let's
All
wrap
right.
it up.
Wrap it up. If you're listening to this, it's the first day of IBS. So if you're at IBS, go check out the booth, right?
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Oh,
Let's talk.
Sheesh. This is the second episode in a row that everyone that comes on the podcast is going to be at IBS,
Oh, yeah.
including Zach.
You just walked into a sore subject there, Russ.
Yeah, so
Massive apologies.
we're ending on a low note with that now.
For
but,
Charlie.
yeah.
It's never a low note here on the Building Code. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
See you guys.